And what's up, hockey fans, and welcome to episode number 69 of Marty's Illegal Stick Hockey Podcast. Stop snickering, Dave. I can hear you over here already.
Yeah, that's just crinkles.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it is. Recording here on March 24th, 2022. We have got one great show lined up for you because this guest, he's been on a few times, and I love having him on because he's so much fun. Before I bring him in, though, that guy that was snickering over there, I want to bring him in, my trusty sidekick, the guy who's just doing all this great job producing, pressing buttons that I don't understand what he's pressing. Anyways, it's Dave the Save Warner.
It's kind of random. You just push whatever, and you think I'm doing a lot of stuff.
Well, you know what? You're doing a good job of looking busy. That's why we pay you the big cents.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Oh, boy. Anyways, I'm going to bring our guest in. Like I said, our guest has been on a few times. He is the host of the Devil's State of Mind podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network. He's also into several other different projects that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about some New Jersey Devils. We're going to talk about some Utica Comets, talk some NHL with the one, the only, the incomparable Mr. Neil Villapiano. Neil, how are you?
I'm doing great, guys, and we're already off to a riveting start here in this episode. We've already laughed about 3 or 4 times, so you already know this is gonna go great.
Exactly,
and that's including the times that we weren't recording, that we told ourselves a lot of good jokes.
Yeah,
and we thought we were live.
That's the behind the scenes stuff that you put out later on.
Yeah.
To hear and listen to. But other than that, I'm doing well. Obviously, things have changed quite a lot with the Devils, and certainly, for myself since the last time I was on here. And I'm just excited as always to jump on and just talk some hockey, especially about the Devils and certainly about the Utica Comets.
Oh, man. I'll tell you what, it's been 2 months since you've been on, I think.
Been about 2 months, yep.
And like I said, it's a blast every time you're on. So last time you were on, we kind of got you fired up because it was kind of a rough patch that was going on, Didn't do it on purpose. It's just kind of one of those organic kind of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the same rough patch, which I know you're going to bring up, is the same problem we have now. So, I mean, it's not like from that point of view, it's changed a whole lot.
But you know what, though? You had a pretty good week. I mean, one of the projects that you're into is the watch-alongs for the Hockey Podcast Network, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. But I was watching you Tuesday night when your Devils took on the Rangers, and you were in a very good mood, my friend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was fun, especially, whenever you get the opportunity to win a game like that in general, it's always fun. But especially when you face your rival, the New York Rangers, and you win that game. I'm sure some of the boys up there in Utica were not thrilled about that game, but it's all right. It's all good. But yeah, it was honestly a really big win. For them to score 5 unanswered goals in the second period and really just kind of, just kick the crap basically out of the Rangers in that game and score 7 goals for the 6th time this season in a game. It's just really, really exciting. So yeah, I mean, Tuesday night was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, the Rangers got up 2-0 quick, and I was like, oh, boy, here we go. But no, they came storming back, and, of course, Nico Daws of the Utica Comets in goal once again. I'll tell you, we miss him here in Utica. Don't get me wrong, Akira Schmid's been doing a great job holding down the fort, but, of course, we always miss our guys that get called up. Good for them, of course. We're always happy to see guys get a chance in the NHL. But tell us a little bit about what you've been seeing, Nico, down there in New Jersey.
Well, the Devils organization certainly has a lot of high hopes for the kid because it's not an accident that he has played something like, 11 of the last 13 games for the Devils. They clearly have confidence in him, not just from the coaching staff, but certainly from the team themselves. They seem to play stronger behind him. They seem to just feel confident in general around him. So I think it's been really good to see. And he's had a handful of games, even some of the games he didn't win, where he has looked very strong in net. Now, you look at last week and you say, he was a little bit shaky. And, even against the Rangers, he at times was a little bit shaky. But you know what? At the end of the day, he's been the most consistent goaltender we've had literally this entire season. And to see somebody that is showcasing a lot of potential moving forward, I think is very, very exciting. And do I think that Nico Daws is fully ready to take over as the number one guy long term? I think it's still too early to say. I think we got to see how he comes into training camp next year it's certainly once he goes back down to Utica, and that'll probably happen sooner rather than later, how he does in the playoffs and everything. And Kevin Dineen will certainly have a good problem on his hands with who he wants to go with the net once they get into the playoffs and get things rolling. And but at the end of the day, it's really, really been good to see Nico Daws playing well. The team themselves feels good around him. And, I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing. It might be both. When Lindy Ruff talked last week after the game against Calgary, he said that, look, quite frankly, we're putting Daws in somewhat of an unfair situation for him having to play every single game,
Sure,
even back-to-backs. And it's tough. But considering that John Gillies is, to put it nicely, not very good, we really don't have a whole lot of options. So, we were talking about goaltending as a major factor 2 months ago. Not much has really changed. I mean, we're just trying to get through the last 18 games or so of the season. And as Tom Fitzgerald, our general manager, put it, go back to the drawing board with the goaltending once we get into this offseason. But other than that, really, really love how calm, cool, and collected Daws has been. And he's keeping the Devils in a lot of games, which is all we could really ask for.
yeah, sure. Because I mean, you think about it, like a kid in his situation, what's he got to lose, right? I mean, he comes up and he's not expected to win every game. Like you said, basically hold the fort down, but he's done a tremendous job overall. I mean, yeah, like you said, I mean, there's going to be some hiccups along the way, but interestingly enough, I mean, they went out and they got Andrew Hammond at the trade deadline.
The Hamburglar, yep.
The Hamburglar is back, still on injured reserve. I think he comes back in like a week or two. But
I have no idea. They didn't say anything. We have no clue, which kind of begs the question, why did we get him in the first place?
Right. Well, I had to go on a Montreal Canadiens site to find that out. So.
Oh, yeah. It's great. And losing Nate Schnarr kind of sucks, not going to lie, because he was actually playing pretty well.
Yeah.
Down in Utica. So I feel like we could have gotten him for cash considerations, but I don't know.
Right. I mean, yeah, that one, I'll tell you from a Utica perspective, that did sting because, and listen, I understand it's not New Jersey's job to, keep the Comets stocked with great play. I understand that. It's totally part of the business. Totally understand. But man, especially, here in Utica, we're going through a rash of injuries. It's just kind of like the perfect storm right now. That listen, every team's got to deal with.
3-game losing streak, if I've seen correctly. They lost to former Devil goalie Corey Schneider
last night.
The Bridgeport Sound Tigers last night, and a little bit of a rough patch, but I think they'll be able to turn it around at some point.
Yeah, I mean, actually, that you're right. They've lost the last 3 straight, 4 of their last 5. But again, it's been like the perfect storm for them right now. A rash of injuries. Besides Schnarr getting traded, DeLeo was hurt. He just came back last night, but Nolan Foot's hurt. Ryan Schmelzer, the captain's hurt. And then we've had a couple of calls, so we're going to talk about in just a second. But I just wanted to kind of get back to that Andrew Hammond thing because Tom Fitzgerald held a press conference after the trade and said that the actual plan, once Hammond does return, is to keep all 3 goalies in New Jersey for now. And I kind of wonder, I'm not trying to question his wisdom or anything like that, but does that really do Daws any good if he's going to end up being in a rotation, whereas if he can go back down to Utica sooner, get some playing time and split the time with Schmidt, and actually, for our end, give Schmidt a little bit of a rest because he's been a workhorse goaltender as well.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that? How long do you think this whole 3-headed monster in goal is going to last, if you will? Because you got, 18 games left, I think you said?
18 at the time of this recording. For me personally, look, number one, I said it before, and other people disagreed with me, and I get it. I felt like that we were overworking Nico Daws, considering he had played 9 games in a row. It was like, look, I get it. You want to see what you have. Totally understand that. And Daws had shown flashes the first time he came up, way back in November when we were dealing with injuries back then. But at some point, Daws has to go back down because Utica needs the guys, and they have a chance to do something that's huge, and especially in the first year being back as the Devils affiliate. I mean, this could end up being a very, very special season. I mean, it already is, but certainly with the expectations, I think now that they should be making a long run in the Calder Cup playoffs, you need to have your guys down there. I guess, and I can only go off of what I think. And I still trust Tom Fitzgerald a lot. I believe in what he's doing. I think that he has built the team relatively well. It's just the goaltending, and not all of it has really been his fault. You
No.
cannot prepare for a goaltender to retire before ever playing a game for you. You cannot prepare for goalies to consistently get hurt and having to keep playing. You can't expect now Andrew Hammond to eventually become the 7th different goaltender to play at least one game with this team. This is something that was not built into the whole, aspect of it all. And look, Tom Fitzgerald made it very clear when he spoke to Pierre LeBrun of The Athletic a couple weeks ago. He said, look, this team is better than its record. And that's very, very true because we've lost a lot of games because our goaltending, quite frankly, was not up to par. And
Sure.
that's just, we don't know if Blackwood's going to be back this year. We don't even know if Blackwood is going to be the solution long term. We know that the Devils were upset about the fact that he refused at first to get vaccinated, which caused a little bit of a stir between him and the organization. Blackwood was pissed off because he believed the Devils rushed him back from his heel injury and then he re-aggravated it.
Mhm.
And you've seen this before. When players decide to change agents, that usually is not a good thing. That usually means they're trying to make a different decision moving forward. So
Right.
that is something to keep in mind during this offseason and where everything goes. I don't know if Blackwood will come back. Quite frankly, I don't think it's the right move for him. I think he needs to just focus on next season, whether that's with us or somewhere else.
Right.
Focus on it long term. As far as this three-headed monster, I don't think it will last very long because once Andrew Hammond gets back, and he is fully healthy, I think then the plan will eventually be, once they feel comfortable enough, to send Daws back. I think the honest reason that it's going to be a three-headed monster is because they're worried about Hammond potentially injuring himself again. We don't know how significant his injury really is.
Sure.
And if he comes back and hurts again, well, guess what? Daws is coming right back up, or Schmid's coming right back up. One of them. I argued to say, how about this? Let's throw out a completely random one. Why don't we send Daws down and bring up Mareks Mitens? Because Mitens is kind of in the purgatory, so to speak, because it's like, well, is he either down in Adirondack or is he backing up Schmid in Utica?
Right.
And I mean, that could be a problem for Adirondack.
Well, I think with him, he's on an AHL deal, so they would have to sign him to an NHL contract. Yeah.
And that's fine. I mean, I don't think first of all, the Devils have the cap and the room to do it if they wanted to.
Not unless he holds out for $10 million a year.
I wouldn't blame him. With a name like Mittens, he could certainly make a lot of money if he starts getting into the NHL. And I still actually think that Mittens, it could be one of those guys that you don't expect to be a solution, but could very well be. He just seems like a very reliable goaltender from what I've seen in the past, especially when both Schmid and Daws at one point or another was going up to the Devils and he had to come up from Adirondack to play in Utica. But look, the problem is that because of the lack of consistency and just good play in general from John Gillies, we just don't feel confident, I guess, right now having Daws go back down. But I will say this. The most likely scenario is that Daws and then eventually potentially Dawson Mercer are going to end up in Utica by the time you get to the end of this season because Fitzgerald made it clear he wants Mercer to play more than just with the NHL club. And I think if he could go down there and play, he could certainly help the team. And he has chemistry with guys like Alexander Holtz and Fabian Zetterlund and guys like that he can probably fit in very well with that team. But to answer your question, I don't expect it to be for the rest of the season. I would be surprised, but I don't expect it to be long term.
You know what? That's an interesting point what you just brought up about Dawson Mercer, and I wanted to ask you about that because Monday was obviously the NHL Trade Deadline, but it was also the day where you had to paper transactions down to the AHL,
correct,
in order to be eligible for the Calder Cup playoffs. And as far as I know, Daws was the only one who was papered down. Mm-hmm. So are they still going to be able to send like a Dawson Mercer or a Tyce Thompson down, even though they didn't paper him?
Well, the problem with Tyce Thompson is that we still don't know how much longer he's going to be hurt. I mean, he became, and I don't say this with disrespect, but he became a forgotten person once he got hurt in November.
Sure.
A lot of us forgot that he had gotten hurt and wasn't with the team for a long time. Same thing with Yanni Kuokkanen and Miles Wood. At one point or another, we forgot that they were a part of the team because they were hurt basically the whole season, if not for the good majority of it. The only person, and you're correct, the only person that really got that move down was Daws. I don't know what's going to happen with Mercer. I had heard that Fitzgerald was thinking about it, but maybe he changed his mind about it.
Could be.
I'm not really sure. Could also you see Mercer end up playing in the World Juniors, the World Championships, excuse me? Yeah, I think that's a possibility. There's a lot of question marks, obviously, with it. And obviously, we're not focusing on it right now because we're trying to finish the season on a high note, try to, get guys to get going. Mercer's, he's only 4 goals away from 20 goals in his rookie year. He's only
That's
4
astounding.
goals behind. It is, and he's only 4 goals behind Michael Bunting for the league lead in goals by a rookie. Now, I argue that is Michael Bunting really a rookie? Not really, but he's a rookie-ish because this is the first full-time action he's gotten in the NHL. It's like Kirill Kaprizov last year.
Right.
So I think that the Devils want to see him finish the year strong. Same thing with some of the other young guys and things like that. And I got to tell you, it's been a pleasant surprise to see Mercer come in and make the team right out of camp and have the success that he's had this year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I was actually thinking about that too. He's going to play the full 82. He might have missed a game or two here. I'm not sure.
He's actually the only player on this team to have played every single game. He has not.
Well, there you go.
Missed a game yet.
Yeah. Where's all the wood we can find? Knock on it.
With the way the season is going, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like the second and last game of the year and he just doesn't play because he's sick or whatever the case may be.
Quick, get the bubble wrap.
Right. It would be pretty remarkable if he ended up playing all 82 games considering everything that happened this year. But he has certainly been tremendous in his first year.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. And maybe they're not going to send him back down to Utica just for that simple reason. He's played a full NHL season already.
Yeah.
And these like younger players like that aren't quite used to playing a full 82 yet. You got to think, a lot of the juniors, college ranks, they don't play the full 82 game schedule. So maybe there's a little bit to that. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, basically.
No, I got it.
And, you mentioned Michael Bunting. Boy, I'll tell you, talk about landing the jackpot, huh? Getting to skate on Austin Matthews' line all the time. Oof.
Well, again, the question simply for him is he a product of the players he plays with? We made the argument with Andreas Janssen up here in New Jersey when the Devils acquired him prior to last season. He was playing where Michael Bunting is playing now. When Janssen was in Toronto, it was the same thing. And you see what Janssen has not done consistently since he got to New Jersey. You start to feel that way. I'm not trying to discredit Michael Bunting.
No, not at all.
Pointing out the fact that, he's playing with some really great players in the National Hockey League. And but again, it's still a great find that Toronto was able to get him.
Oh, no doubt. I watch a lot of the West Coast games, and he was with Arizona, and I will say that he did really well with Arizona as well. Mm-hmm. Not to this level, but of course, you're talking about, like you just said, a much different level of teammates too.
Of course,
so
absolutely.
But that notwithstanding, speaking of the Comets, you guys have a couple of our Comets up there in New Jersey right now, and AJ Greer and Kevin Bahl.
Yes.
Which, by the way, Kevin Bahl, I'm sure you know by this point, he's got his own fan club here.
Ball's Army, yep. Whose house? Ball's house. I know it all, man.
I got to get you a shirt.
I'm still waiting for my shirt, man.
What size do you take? I'll hook you up.
I'm an extra large. Large. Give me a shirt.
I promise you I will hook you up.
All right. I'll send you my address when you get the shirt, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely.
Right, Scott, you can't say I'll hook you up.
Well, this is episode. Never mind. Never mind. Just forget it. You're trying to get me in trouble. That's it.
It's all good. But
that's enough out of you.
All right. I was almost asleep. No, I was paying attention. It's interesting stuff.
But anyways, AJ and Kevin Bahl are up there.
Mm-hmm.
Any other Comets you might want to see get a shot up with the big club before the end of the season?
Probably, I want to see first. I would love to see Fabian Zetterlund come back up because I think that he was put in a, just like kind of like with Alexander Holtz, it was kind of a difficult position. Obviously, I'd love to see Holtz, but I think it's much better for him to play out the rest of the season down in Utica because you could see, I've heard enough press conferences to know that Kevin Dineen has been a major factor in Alexander Holtz having the success that he's had this year. And I think it's better to just, let him just finish out the year, go from there. Fabian Zetterlund, I like the scrappiness that he brings to the team, and he's got a ton of speed himself, and that's something that I really, really like. I never thought I'd be this excited, by the way, to have AJ Greer come up to the Devils because of the season that he's had. I wondered to myself, could he be that really sneaky third, fourth line guy that we didn't expect at all to come in and make waves? Now, granted, he didn't do anything in the Toronto game, but that's fine. Like it's totally
one
fine.
Game.
Kevin Bahl, he made an impact right away against Toronto. First of all, whenever you see him, he's the most visible player on the ice because of how big he is.
By default.
Oh, yeah. And I remember talking to Amanda Stein, who covers the Devils, who's their team reporter. Mm-hmm. She said, you can see how much better Kevin Bahl has gotten since the last time he was up here. He has developed. One of the things that I noticed is that he's much more of a physical defenseman, which was something that he was saying he was more of an offensive defenseman. And I'm like, with that frame, you can't just be an offensive defenseman. You have to be a two-way guy. And that's what you're seeing with Kevin Bahl. He's the way he speaks to the media, he's more confident. You can see it. And a lot of that credit, again, goes to Kevin Dineen, Sergei Brelin, and that entire coaching staff in Utica. So I'm excited to see those guys play. I don't know how long they're going to be here. I was surprised that they called up two guys, considering that we still have Yanni Kuokkanen, but maybe his injury is going to be a lot more long-term than we originally thought. But yeah, and then the funny thing, and I was wondering if you were going to bring this up, was the whole situation with Christian Jaros being put on waivers.
I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, we can get into that in just a moment. But I'll say with regards to the prospects that I'd like to see, Zetterlund, I'd like to see Walsh because I think he really, really is a guy that is an under the radar type prospect. And I've got to see my boy Graham Clark. I know he's had somewhat of a quiet season, but I still have a lot of faith in him because I still think he brings a lot to the table from an offensive perspective.
Well, he missed some time too when he had the hand wrist injury there. So, mm-hmm. I mean, I think he's all like 2 months. And I will tell you, just from watching Alexander, because I'm a season ticket holder for the Comets, so I go to all the home games. And of course, I have the AHL TV because you can't not watch them on the road, right? So, right. I will tell you that the development of Alexander Holtz, just from a defensive side, everybody knows about the offensive tools. That's a given.
Yeah, tell me about the defensive side. That's what I've been hearing, and I haven't seen enough. But let me tell me about that.
Absolutely, because I mean, at the beginning of the season, it was like, does he realize that there's a defensive zone? Does he know? And now listen, Alexander Holtz will never win the Selke Trophy, but he is now a responsible in his zone. He comes back, he covers. I'll give you an example. I think it was Rochester a couple weeks ago. There was a turnover, right, mm-hmm. in the Comets end, or in the when the Comets were on offense, and he came all the way back. They had a 2-on-0. He skated all the way back and laid down in the lane and blocked the pass coming across. Alexander Holtz did this.
Wow.
And he's also getting a little more physical too, which is got to be music to your ears. So
with him being over 200 pounds at 6'3", he better be physical.
Yep.
If he wants to be the next Alexander Ovechkin, he better start laying the body as well.
Absolutely. And, I will tell you that, at first he did a lot of his work out on the perimeter, right? Mm-hmm. But now this guy is going to the net, getting to the dirty areas. He's doing it all. He really is. And just the one season arc that he's had has been phenomenal. So
that's great to hear.
I think you guys are going to be very, very well surprised. Awesome. Like I said, hopefully he stays in Utica just for the rest of the season to finish it out. And as much as our Comets fans up here love him, got a feeling he's most certainly going to be down there in East Rutherford or Newark next year. So
yeah, I mean, we love Holtz. We know what he can bring to the table, and it is great to see and hear that he is doing well. And the Devils are gonna handle him not necessarily with kid gloves, but they want to make sure he develops properly, so that by the time he's coming up to the Devils and playing full time, he doesn't miss a beat. He just comes in like Dawson Mercer did this year and just fits in very, very well. And I think that Holtz will do that next year. And I think it's better to just let him play out the rest of the year. He's cooking right now. Let him get more and more confident and go from there.
And I got to tell you, him and Zetterlund are best friends. And it's awesome because they ride to the ring together.
Media.
Yeah,
on social media. They love each other.
It's awesome.
They love each other so much it's kind of weird. I think they spend more time with each other than they spend with their significant others. I think that's how much they love each other.
Yeah. Well, I think they're roommates, I believe. So
what episode is this again?
Never mind. And I will tell you that Zetterlund has a huge fan club here as well. My daughter is like his number one fan.
Does he really?
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
How does Holtz not have his own fan club, and yet we have other guys? That's crazy.
I don't know. It's just kind of I can't explain that. I have no idea.
I mean, it works. Hey, you know what? It works. It's fine. And like I said before, I love the energy that the Utica crowd has given this organization, and just makes it exciting for us as Devils fans to tune in and watch. I mean, we got to call it like it is, a competent hockey team and play. I mean, my brother, who's a Devils fan like myself, he'd been talking to me for weeks about like, yo, when are we just going to drive up to Utica and see a game? And I'm like, I mean, it probably wouldn't cost us very much, except gas prices are so stupidly high right now.
It might be a second mortge for the gas, but
probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, tell you what, we can send a bill to Putin.
No, I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into that.
You're playing with fire.
Nah.
You're playing with fire, but
no, I don't. Let's stick to the hockey. I don't want to get into all that.
You got the red jersey on tonight. Come on.
It's the Comets.
I know. I'm just saying.
The Red Army. We don't call ourselves the Red Army team.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, really.
We don't have. We don't have all those talented guys, but yeah, I mean, I'm really going to try to get to a game before the season ends, because I would love to go up there and experience that type of crowd and, just see what it's all about. Because all I've heard and what you guys have told me, it's unbelievable how much you guys support the team. And it goes a long way for them, so that when they come to New Jersey, they have that confidence, they have that support around them, and it works out. I'm really excited to see that whole experience.
Oh, absolutely. You should come up for playoff time. That would be the best. Because the weather will be nice, right?
Yes, the weather will be nice.
Weather will be nice. We'll hook you guys in. We'll get, we'll take you to the best restaurants. You'll be a celebrity here.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. I'll do. Hey, we can even
we could do a live podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah, you wanted to do
there. It is.
No, you wanted to do one, right?
Yeah, we wanted to do around the parking lot.
Yeah,
dude,
the big tailgate party.
Oh yeah, tailgate before a hockey game. I'm down.
Serious.
I'm absolutely down. We'll have a lot of fun. So yeah, we'll plan that out. We'll definitely plan that out
for sure. Why should football have the corner of the market on tailgating?
Yeah, why not?
Exactly. Exactly. But
tell Bahl's Army to get out there.
Oh, they will. Don't you worry about that.
Oh yeah, they will.
We might have the National Guard out there by the time we're done, but that's okay.
I wanted to ask you one question about crowd response. So you hear how great it is, the Utica fans, how great they are.
Yeah.
What's that like compared to, where the Devils play?
I will say this, and I'll be very honest with you, because of the fact of the lack of just good hockey we've had over the last, decade, it's been harder. We were talking about before, we talked about the Devils playing the Rangers. I'd be very, very honest with you. It was 80. It felt like 80% Rangers fans in the building, in our home arena. And that's not because there are not fans here in New Jersey. There are. It's just we have gotten very frustrated and tired of the lack of being consistent and getting in the playoffs. But I will tell you this, if you go back and look at the crowds from 17-18 when we were in the playoffs against Tampa, we come out in waves, man. We come out, we fill the building, we stand up the whole game. That's what we do. So the way that we look at it is this. If we're bringing a good team, if the team on the ice is winning games and we're being successful and we're competing for the playoffs and getting in, the fans are going to be there just like they got in Utica. It's going to be that exciting and it's going to be that big. And I promise you that it's going to be worth it. And going to a Devils playoff game is one of the best, things to do. It's phenomenal, especially when when we got ourselves going and we're scoring and things like that, especially with the offense. I don't know if you guys have seen recently, but we're averaging something like 4 or 5 goals a freaking game at this point.
Yeah.
We're really, really clicking right now. And I think it's going to be interesting. And that's a really good question, because I think a lot of people always like to know, okay, well, the Devils fans know about the Utica crowd down there. What can Utica fans expect from Devils fans up here? And, we at the end of the day, we just want to see our team do well. We want to win. We want to win. We're, for a long time, we were one of the most respected franchises in the NHL. Things have certainly changed over the last decade here. But, you look at the front page of Hockey News right now, it's all about the Devils. And they said the Devils have created a beast. And it's only a matter of time before everything gets put in place to where we're really rocking and rolling. We get our offense going, our defense is solid, and we get competent goaltending. We are going to be a danger. We're going to be a danger.
No dig there.
I have to be honest. But I'm telling you, once we get our team going and the fans are going to be there, it's going to be a blast. I promise you. It's going to be.
Absolutely.
It's going to be the place
that's a year off or 2 years off?
I'm telling you, I think next year they're really going to start turning around. And
I will tell you this: there's no excuse for next season, because Tom Fitzgerald's job is on the line, quite frankly, going into next year. Because at this point, it's like, okay, you have this young talent. They've grown over the last 2 years. We need to find goaltending, and we need to start winning. And we need, it's no longer about we have to learn how to win. We now have to win these games. We now have to, not only compete, but win games where we come back from down 2 or 3 goals. We have to get that done. And that's going to be the expectation going into next year. No more excuses. You have to get into the playoffs.
Right. And you got some money coming off the books too.
We got $9 million coming off the books for PK Subban, so I can't really complain. And
so again, there you go.
Tom Fitzgerald said point blank, he's going to try to make a big splash in free agency. I really have no idea who he's referring to. My money's on Johnny Gaudreau if he does reach free agency, which bringing in a Jersey guy, granted, he grew up a Flyers fan, and we won't hold it against him if he comes here. But if he comes here as a star player from New Jersey coming here, that's a sign right there that we're ready to take that next step. We need to do this. We need to win. It's now going next season. It's about winning. That's what it's going to be about.
Well, you think about it. They've got their puck moving defenseman and Dougie Hamilton, right? Extremely strong down the middle between Jack Hughes, who has been just incredible this season.
He's a point per game player.
There it is. And not that yet, Nico.
Nico's on his way to probably having his best year since his rookie year. Jesper Bratt is a superstar in the making. Dawson Mercer is doing tremendous. And then we even got guys like, Ryan Graves that came in via trade and are playing very, very well. And then you look at the team that we have down in Utica, you can't help but get excited. And a guy like Luke Hughes has not even played a professional hockey game yet.
No.
And he's got Michigan in position to potentially win a national championship.
Yeah.
So we have a lot, and we're probably going to get a top pick this year in the draft. I'm not wild about it, but we're going to probably get a top pick in the draft. Who knows who we end up picking?
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's every reason in the world for Devils fans to be excited. And like I said, Holtz is going to be dynamite on either Hughes, Heischer's, Mercer's. It's incredible the possibilities that are they're endless, really.
Mm-hmm.
And another name that I wanted to bring up too for your free agency. Johnny Gaudreau would be awesome, but I don't know if Nashville's going to be able to re-sign Philip Forsberg.
That was something. We've talked about it at great lengths here in Devils World. That if Johnny Gaudreau doesn't reach free agency, which we think that there's a chance he may not, it all depends on how far Calgary can really go in these playoffs. If Philip Forsberg is there, the Devils are going to go after him point blank simple. They're going to go after him, and they're going to do everything they can to get him, just like they did with Dougie Hamilton. When the Devils, the second that Dougie Hamilton became available, the Devils did everything they possibly could to get him, and they got him. And that's what Tom Fitzgerald's about. Once he has his eyes on somebody, he does everything possible to convince him to come. Jonathan Bernier signed here because it's not every day that a legendary goalie like Marty Brodeur is calling you every other day, telling you that he wants you to come and play for this team. We have different, let's call it, ways of convincing people to come play for this organization. It's kind of like we're just very wise about it. We that's what you get when you're in Jersey. You kind of find creative ways to convince people. But Philip,
Nothing wrong with that.
What?
No,
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Nothing wrong with that
What
at
does
all.
that mean?
I'll let you speculate on
Yeah,
that.
right.
You can leave that
No,
to
dude.
yourself.
Listen,
Don't ask,
be worried for me.
I
I'm
will
in the
say this.
studio with him.
Do not, I will say this right now. Do not ask me about my business.
Yeah,
Do
right.
not ask me about my business. I'll tell you that right
I
now.
will break your effing legs.
But yeah,
You know-
Philip Forsberg would be great, honestly, if we could get him. There's other guys out there, and we could also be in the position to trade for somebody as well. So
Sure,
we
no
have
doubt
a lot
about
of
it.
different options moving forward.
No doubt about it. And, speaking of Marty Brodeur, he's going to be here in Utica April 6th for Marty
heard.
Brodeur bobblehead night.
That is so cool.
It is.
That is just so cool. And I know that we had talked about this, but I wanted to get your feelings on what happened with Christian Jaros over the last 2 or 3 days, let's call it. Do you want to put the context to that, or shall I?
I'll let you. That's I know you're dying too. So
that's a devil's problem. Okay, so
yeah.
For those people that don't know, Christian Jaros was traded from San Jose to New Jersey in the offseason, and he was going to be probably our 7th defenseman just in general. He had played about 11 games this year with no points, no goals, and a plus-minus of -4. So he really wasn't factoring into any sort of success. Just the day of the deadline, the Devils put him on waivers. He cleared. And the Devils were going to send him down to Utica while Kevin Bahl and AJ Greer would go up to New Jersey. What I had been told is that Jaros was, for lack of a better term, very pissed off that he was being sent down and did not want to go play down in Utica. So the Devils instead decided to terminate his contract, and he is no longer part of the Devils organization at all. And a lot of us here, as Devils fans, said, why wouldn't he want to go someplace where he would probably play top 4 minutes, because he would be one of the better defensemen on the team, with experience, play for a team that has a chance to win a championship? Why would he want to not do that and just be a free agent? My only thought is that maybe he feels like his skills are more suited to playing in the NHL now, since he's like 26, 27. And maybe it's more of a pride thing, but I was thinking to myself when I saw it, I said, I wonder how the guys at Martys feel about all of this. I wonder if they feel offended or whatever the case may be.
You know what? I got to be honest with you. Here in Utica, we really don't care.
That's fair.
Listen, you don't want to go play for a team that's in first place in the Eastern Conference, then suit yourself, whatever.
Right. Exactly.
But, I mean, if he's that upset about being sent down, I mean, the deadline just passed. I mean, if he was really wanted, somebody could have traded for him.
We could have.
Guess
now
what?
he's a free agent, so now he has now he just has to sit around and wait to see if somebody picks him up.
Well, you know what? Best of luck, whatever. Good luck to you. I can't see him catching on in the NHL for the rest of the season. And, stuff like that kind of follows a player around too, right? Gives you like a bad reputation.
Yeah. I mean, I could sympathize with him a little bit, because him being at the age that he's at and like knowing that he had been playing in the NHL, I'm sure he was a little bit miffed about it. But at the same time, it wasn't like he was going to massively affect either side, whether playing still in New Jersey or going down to Utica. I think he would help in Utica. I don't doubt that. But again, he chose that he didn't want to play for the team. It's just funny how if you look up his name, he's still considered a part of the Utica Comets. So I don't really know exactly.
That's why there was so much confusion.
Right. Well, there's still confusion. We don't know if he is indeed with Utica or not. We don't really know if he's there. He might have his contract terminated by the Devils, but there's nothing stopping, I don't think, Utica if they come to some sort of an agreement where he signs for the rest of the season there. I don't know.
Well, I can tell you this. I mean, I was at the game last night against Bridgeport, and every game I get a program because I want to see the rosters, and all that. And he was on the Devils roster. On the Comets roster. Nowhere to be found. Obviously didn't play.
Exactly.
They gave him a number.
Okay. That's great.
It's the great hockey mystery of 2022, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, it's weird. I mean, I look him up on Wikipedia and it says he's a defenseman for the Utica Comets while under contract with the Devils. There's nothing. It's really weird. Like I go on Elite Prospects and it says that he's part of the Utica Comets. I literally have no idea
But I will tell you that, yeah, because I mean, if he was terminated by the Devils, there has been no announcement as of I've seen of him signing a contract with the Comets. So I don't know.
I mean, again, it says here that he is part of the Utica Comets roster. I don't know what his whole deal is. I don't know what has been decided. I saw reports on Instagram from a really reliable source that said the Devils were planning on terminating his contract. And that was about it. And actually, here we go. Now I got something. It says here that Christian Jaros, well, the Devils announced this yesterday. They placed him on unconditional waivers for the purpose of terminating his contract. So they put him back on waivers, and he cleared about 6 hours ago via Cap Friendly, and now he is an unrestricted free agent. So give it a day or two, and he probably won't be on the roster anymore.
Right. Yeah, maybe they put that on there in anticipation, or I don't know.
Weird situation. It just was very strange. It was very, very strange.
Yeah, that's I don't know. To be honest with you, but it's like I said, from the perspective here in Comets land, like, oh, okay, whatever.
And this perspective from the Devils land is, it is what it is. It happens. It happens, but it's
nobody cares.
Whatever. Right, exactly.
Any other prospects down in Utica that you'd want to see by the end of the year?
Mareks Mitens.
Yeah, you know what?
Serious. Like, I know people think it's like I'm serious. I've actually interacted with Mareks Mitens on social media. Really nice guy, like super dude, and he's just happy to be playing hockey. I think like he has this attitude of I'm just happy that I'm on a team playing hockey, and that's like his attitude. And I've seen him play, and he just seems like he's not going to blow you away with his skills, but he just seems to be just solid, and that's all I'm asking for. Just solid. I'm not saying it's Schmid or Daws is not solid, but I'm saying, he's an intriguing guy because it's like, well, we've seen Schmid, we've seen Daws. What about this Mittens guy? But then you'd have to sign him to NHL contract, which maybe the Devils don't want to do. But again, I would also like to see Schmid up here again because I feel like personally, the times that he's been up here, he had no chance. He had
right.
This was before our offense started to click. We were just not scoring, and he was just being hung out to dry.
Right.
So I would like to see him come back up with the team the way that we're playing now and go from there. Like, that would be the cool thing. I'd be okay with Daws being sent down to Utica for Schmid to come here. Maybe he doesn't play every game. He gets a rest. He gets a couple of days off, and he comes up here and he plays here. And I don't think that's too outlandish of an idea, in my opinion.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I got to tell you, I've always kind of felt for Mareks Mitens this season because obviously when Schmid and Daws were both out, he got a ton of playing time. But when Schmid or Daws are here, he does, he sits the bench a lot. So, I mean, that's hard for any goaltender to get into a rhythm when you're constantly just watching. I mean, you can practice till you're blue in the face. But if you're not getting actual playing time, and I'll tell you, he played Monday night against Cleveland, and he was solid. He really was. So, time will tell.
He's the type of guy that I can see being like in the NHL as like the backup goaltender that plays every now and then, that just when he gets into the game, you feel comfortable around playing in front of him because he's going to make some solid saves. I think that's the important thing.
Sure. And with a last name like Mitens, the endorsement opportunities are endless.
Most Devils fans don't even know who that is, and I'm telling you right now, if he came to Jersey and people saw that name, they'd say, "Wow, we need to run with this. We need to run with this." And that's the thing. When we get funny names like here in New Jersey, we run with it. We absolutely run with it. So I mean, it would happen. I mean, I would definitely have a podcast episode with something along the lines of Mitens if he was here. But if he keeps playing this solid in net, I down in Utica. You got 3 goaltenders down in Utica, with Daws included, that could probably win you a game any night.
Sure. So, it's a great problem to have. Let me tell you.
Exactly. It's a great problem to have down there. It hasn't been that great of a problem up here.
Well, someday. Don't worry about it. Someday. It's coming.
Let's hope. Yeah,
it's okay.
You're right, exactly. Let's hope. Let's hope.
Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we do this? We're going to go to commercial break real quick.
Yeah.
All right. When we come back, we'll talk about the trade deadline overall and stuff. But before we go to commercial, like we always do, we're going to do Breakaway Trivia. And Breakaway Trivia is brought to us by a couple of the guys from the Bahl's Army. As a matter of fact, Dave's going to put the graphics up there on the screen real quick. Oh, yeah, he's in rare form tonight, guys. That's
I am.
dude.
I'm like, where are these things?
Oh,
You don't
so
know which
first of
one's
all,
going up
yeah,
first,
there
right?
we go. First of all, we got priceless home inspections from Josh Amodio. You can get a hold of him at 315-525-8725. You need your home inspected? That is the guy to call. And then, of course, there's Epic DJ Service. That's owned by Scott Schuster. You can't miss this guy at the Adirondack Bank Center. I'll tell you what that. He's kind of like the ringleader of the Balls Army. Anyways, get a hold of Scott at 315-219-3568 for all your DJ needs. So there you go. Now, on to Breakaway Trivia. So sort of a Devils-centered one, but not really. Okay, so let's see if I can stump you with it. The team that we now know as the New Jersey Devils were once known as the Colorado Rockies. Right. What I want to know is, who is the Rockies' all-time leading scorer? The answer when we come back.
Visit My Little Falls and stay connected with the latest news, information, and events in the city and the area. Our mission is to generate interest in the community and connect residents in a more meaningful way by facilitating deeper conversations about how these stories will shape the future of the Mohawk Valley. Join thousands of weekly visitors who stay up to date with feature stories, interviews, videos, our event calendar, and print publication, the Mohawk Valley Express. It's about timely local news for the community, keeping citizens informed about important issues, telling about the people who live and work here, and giving locally owned businesses the opportunity to reach a very targeted audience of locals and tourists alike. It's a whole new form of media-rich content developed specifically for today's mobile lifestyle and listeners. You can download our iOS app in the iTunes store, listen to our country music streaming radio station, or sign up for a weekly newsletter. Stop by today at mylittlefalls.com. You'll be glad you did.
And we're back. I got to tell you, I say this every episode, and I'm going to say it again, and I'll probably say it for the rest of the time that we do this show. I love that song, that commercial. I can't get enough of it.
It's a good one.
It is. It's like a great workout song.
Oh, yeah.
When have you worked out?
I did a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's not going. Somebody got dishes going?
Yeah, it's people in the background. Apologize.
No worries. No worries. Hey,
this happened when I do live watch alongs. It's the exact same thing. So I cannot control what goes on around me.
No, listen, it adds character to the show. I love it.
There you go. There you go.
Anyways, Neil, you want that breakaway trivia question one more time?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hear it.
All right. So the team that we now know as the New Jersey Devils were at one time known as the Colorado Rockies. Who is the Rockies' all-time leading scorer?
Now, see, I feel like this would be like easy for me to go like, oh, it's probably like Lanny McDonald, but it's not. I'm going to go with Wilf Payment. That is my guess. You,
my friend, are an encyclopedia of hockey. I thought for sure I was going to stump you with that one. Nope. Not a chance.
He had so I think he had like 250 points in his career with the Rockies.
Very close. 254.
Were you talking about goal scoring or just points?
Just points.
Just points. Yeah, that's what I thought. Because I think he also led overall in goals as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because Lanny wasn't there long enough to overtake him.
Well, yeah, Lanny was traded from Toronto, I believe, to Colorado because the owner of the Maple Leafs just didn't like him, quite frankly.
The infamous Harold Ballard.
Yeah, I wrote a book about Harold Ballard. That was fun. That was so much fun. Let's not talk about that. But you know the funny thing is that like the Devils on MSG, they also throw out like trivia like that. And that's how, for me, I was able to remember because I think they asked a question similar to that.
Really?
His name came up. So I think it was kind of like when we played Colorado, it came up. Because again, again, the Rockies and stuff like that. So, and it's, again, isn't it great that I know these very little facts that probably most people don't?
But there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Well, you just have to tell them who won the last time.
Well, Dave's standard answer is Gretzky, and that's what the answer was last week. So
I
know that if I say it every time, there's a maybe 1 in 10 chance.
Maybe.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
But I'll tell you, remember how ugly those Rockies uniforms were, though? I just,
I mean, they're not
blue,
too bad.
yellow, red. Ugh.
I know Devils fans want to see a reverse retro of it. I'm scared. I'm very scared. Especially after the black alternate we tried this year. I'm very scared moving forward to see what we do. But I guess I could always hope that it comes out okay.
One can only tell.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
So, let's talk about that trade deadline that just passed. Overall, lots of different trades made. Eastern Conference teams loaded right up.
Mm-hmm.
But in regards to the Devils, are you surprised that they didn't make more moves?
No, and I'll be very honest with you. Look, we had two guys that are UFAs. PK Subban with $9 million on his contract, and who wants that? Who can afford that, period?
Right.
Even at 50%, even at 50% retained salary, nobody wanted. The Devils said, hey, he's available, and Fitzgerald said he didn't get a single call for weeks about Subban. It was very obvious that Subban was not going anywhere. And then Jimmy Vesey, I think if he had been dealt in like November, I think the Devils would have gotten some for him because he was playing well. He doesn't bring a whole lot to another team. So
right.
Again, it's like that. And the other thing is this. Tom Fitzgerald is not going to make a deal just to make a deal. He wanted to make a deal that would be beneficial to the player themselves and also to the team. I don't know what he was looking for or whatever the case may be, but that was not that. Then you heard about Pavel Zacha, who's an RFA at season's end, that could be on the move. He still very much could be at the move in the offseason. Damon Severson as well. He's got one more year left on his contract. Guys, Mackenzie Blackwood was a wild card that was put out there by Frank Saravalli about potentially being on the move. But I knew that, especially with every deadline, it's usually just rumors and not a lot that actually happens.
Right.
Although this year was the most deals we've ever had in one trade deadline, 33 to be exact. So that was kind of even though most of them were very minor, it was still kind of a thing. The only way I would have been surprised if the Devils did absolutely nothing, not even getting Andrew Hammond. I knew the Devils had to get a goalie. I didn't know who that was. I didn't know how they were going to do it. They had to get somebody. So when they originally picked up Hammond before I knew about the injury and stuff, I wasn't against it. I said, you know what? Why not? You can't, right? We've tried literally everything else. It cannot hurt. His contract comes up at the end of the year. So again, once the season's over, okay, you did your job. Let's move forward. That's
right.
kind of so when they did it, I was fine. But like we talked about before, not wild about the fact that we had to give up a prospect. I know Nate Schnarr is not considered one of our elite top prospects, but he was part of the Taylor Hall trade, and he was actually having a pretty good year in Utica.
Sure was.
So I was kind of like miffed about it because a lot of us said, you mean to tell me that we couldn't have just given up cash or future considerations for this guy? You mean to tell me who hasn't played consistently since 17-18, we had to give up a prospect? It was very, very strange. And I feel bad for Schnarr because, he was a guy that we all were kind of curious to know what was his whole deal. And I guess now we won't know. It'll be interesting to see with the Devils playing Montreal on Sunday if he does actually get called up. I don't think he will, but he could. And we may see him with a Canadian sweater on. Hammond may play in that game. I don't know. But other than that, was not surprised the Devils didn't do anything. I said it before and I'll say it again. Tom Fitzgerald made it very clear. This offseason is where the big moves are going to happen. We have more time. We can figure it out. We'll have more cap space. Then there's no time pressure to get something done by 3-4 o'clock, whatever it was. So from the Devils' perspective, I'm totally fine. A lot of other people were pissed off for reasons that I cannot understand, but it's fine.
Right.
We don't have a lot to offer. We're trying to get through the rest of the season and go from there. Anybody who's worth anything significant is part of our core, and we're not going to move that unless you blow us away. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, especially like a guy like Damon Severson, you don't want to just dump him just for the sake of dumping him. But I mean, maybe they did, I don't know. I'm surprised they didn't kick the tires at least on Devin Dubnyk. I mean, he did play for the Canadian national team at the Olympics.
I don't know what happened with that. I don't know if maybe because, there's no, I try to think, was it a financial reason? No. Was it no, he was not, he's not signed if I'm not mistaken.
No, he's not. He's not playing free agent.
Yeah, so I mean, there was, there were other options. I don't know. But again, Fitzgerald may have just felt forced and this was the best option he could find. I don't know. He's just in a very tough situation with the goaltending in general. And he maybe felt the heat a little bit from us in the fan base to say, you have to get somebody in here from a goalie perspective.
Right.
And Dubnyk would have been fine, but maybe for all we know, Dubnyk wanted, more money. Maybe he wanted to sign for more than 1 year. Maybe the Devils did call him and ask him.
That's what I mean.
Like, I say it all the time. There could have been deals that could have happened that we never know about because it didn't work out in one way or another. It doesn't mean the Devils didn't try. I think they certainly tried. I think this might have been the best option.
Sure. Wouldn't it be great? Remember that show, Unsolved Mysteries? It'd be great. There was like an NHL version of that 10 years ago at the 2022 trade deadline. Yeah, exactly. The New Jersey Devils. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, it's strange. It's strange.
I don't have that kind of music.
But when we picked up Andrew Hammond, I was like, wait, we picked up the Hamburglar? And the best part was that most of our fans don't even know who the Hamburglar is. And I'm like, how can you consider yourself a hockey fan if you don't know about Andrew Hammond? I don't like.
It wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't. It was only like 3 or 4 years ago. That's the funny part. It wasn't like, oh, this happened a decade ago and the man is washed. I mean, this dude is still playing. I know Ben Scrivens was available. I don't know what happened to him. Actually, I think he might have retired. I don't think he was available.
Yeah, he did.
They could have asked him if he wanted to come out of retirement to play a couple games. Couldn't hurt.
Right.
There was Satiri, that Finnish goaltender who played in the Olympics.
That's right.
That was on waivers. The Devils could have easily picked him up. I don't know exactly what the decision-making was, but I will say this. Andrew Hammond may be one of the most well-dressed players on our team, considering what I saw yesterday in his interview on MSG. He's a very well-dressed individual.
So his skate out song is going to be Sharp Dressed Man from ZZ Top, right?
Yeah, or it's going to be like Suit and Tie by Justin Timberlake or something like that.
Oh boy. The Devils notwithstanding, what other trades did you like that were made by other teams? Give me one or two.
I like the Claude Giroux trade to Florida because I think Claude Giroux is still playing at such a high level. And you look at what he's able to do from a faceoff perspective, being really, really consistent on the power play. I think he just brings another dynamic, and it makes me excited as a hockey fan to say, can you imagine if the Florida Panthers make a deep run and even get into the Stanley Cup final? The Florida Panthers, ladies and gentlemen, who, yes, in 1996, with Tom Fitzgerald as their captain,
that's right,
did make the Stanley Cup finals, which is a fun fact that I took. Right? Exactly. Year of the Rat. It would be fun, would it? And then, so I like that move, and I really like the Marc-Andre Fleury deal to Minnesota because the Minnesota Wild, we've never seen them in the Stanley Cup Finals. The closest they got was 2003 when they lost in the Western Conference Finals to Anaheim. I can only imagine how crazy it would be a Stanley Cup Finals game in the state of hockey in Minnesota with it being packed and everything like that. It would be phenomenal. And I think that Minnesota has the pieces with adding Fleury to make a deep run. Their offense is very consistent. Their defense, really good. Goaltending was a question mark. Unfortunately, they had to get rid of their young goaltender, Kaapo Kähkönen, because he wasn't on a two-way deal, so he couldn't go down to the Iowa Wild. Mm-hmm. So he had to get dealt, which could that come to bite the Wild in the future? Possibly. But I think right now, I think their chances are better and they become a much more dark horse team in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So the Claude Giroux deal to Florida and the Marc-Andre Fleury deal to Minnesota are the two that I really like the most from this deadline.
Yeah, that's it. And you know what? And I know you probably don't want to hear it, but I actually thought the Penguins did a good job of getting Rickard Rakell.
I was
just like I said, watching a lot of Western Conference games. I think he's going to work out very well there, and especially if he's on. I was
surprised that he got dealt to Pittsburgh. I thought it was going to be Boston. Boston was calling him, and they had acquired Hampus Lindholm earlier in the day and signed him to an extension. I thought, well, Rickard Rakell is next, right? It's got to be but all of a sudden when I heard it was Pittsburgh, I said, well, that came out of nowhere because I didn't hear I thought Pittsburgh was just going to be like, we have our team,
right?
Let's go from there. I don't mind the deal at all. It doesn't even hurt them that much, honestly, when you look at it. They gave up Zach Aston Reese, and no disrespect to Zach Aston Reese. He's nothing to write home about. And I think it's a good move. And I like And Pittsburgh's just going to be a factor in the playoffs again. I mean, that's just basically what it is. They added scoring. They needed scoring, and that's what they did.
I got to tell you something, though. I'm surprised that the Penguins didn't get another goalie. And just for the simple fact that if something should happen to Tristan Jarry, are you going to trust a run to Casey DeSmith?
No.
I mean, there's I was listening to the NHL radio today, and they were talking about Varlamov from the Islanders.
I was surprised he didn't get moved.
You know what?
Surprised by that.
Edmonton needed goaltending in the worst way, but I guess the deal fell apart.
Vegas needed goaltending in the worst way. I don't think Vegas could afford him, especially that Evgeny Dadonov deal that just doesn't exist.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Oh, dude, we got to talk about
the funniest thing you've ever seen, or what?
We got to talk. No, forget Dadonov. We have to talk about John Moore. John Moore, former Devil. He had the greatest situation of all time. He gets sent down to the minors, and he's torn because it's like, wait a minute, am I going to play for the Vegas minor league team or the Anaheim team tonight? What am I doing? I have no idea. There was a jersey for him for either team. That is literally how it went down. And so it's the funniest thing to me.
He probably got in his car, drove halfway between Henderson, Nevada, and San Diego, California, and just waited for the call. And
he's just like, well, I'll just sit here and wait till someone tells me otherwise. And I don't know how Vegas is legally allowed right now to have the team that they have. They don't even – the worst part about this, because Dadonov didn't get moved, is that now they can't remove Mark Stone from long-term IR. They can't legally – they don't have the room.
I don't think they can do it with Martinez either.
Right, and Jack Eichel's hurt, and they're thinking about putting him on long-term. I don't know how the hell Vegas, it's going to get to the point where I'm going to laugh and say, watch the NHL just go, okay, you are not legally allowed to play in the playoffs. Even I don't care if you win it. They're not even in a playoff spot right now. They've lost several in a row. So it might be better for them to not make the playoffs because they're in a lot of question marks. But talking about the goaltending, market in general, I just think the asking price for some of these guys was too much. I know that Fleury went for a conditional first, but there was also this factor. He didn't want to go too far away from his family. And Chicago to Minnesota is not too bad.
Not too bad,
It's really not. But I just think that teams were asking for way more than they probably should. Georgiev, I'm sure he was getting a lot of offers, but I'm sure the asking price was too much. Now, he's still going to get moved in the offseason, according to what the Rangers have said. Varlamov, the Islanders didn't do anything, which I would have thought they would have done something, but they got older because they re-signed Cal Clutterbuck to a deal. They brought back Zach Parise. That is probably the oldest team in the NHL at this point, and Varlamov is still there, and you know that Sorokin is your number one guy long term. I understand that you want to have two good goaltenders, but Varlamov was a hot commodity. You mean to tell me that you didn't have any good offers? I doubt that. And look at it this way: does Edmonton really think that
Mike Smith or Mikko Koskinen?
Mikko Koskinen. You think one of those guys is going to carry you long term? Really?
You think they learned from last season?
No, they didn't. It's Edmonton. They don't learn from their own mistakes. They don't. So
it's unbelievable.
I don't know how Connor McDavid just doesn't lose his mind. I really don't know how he keeps him and Draisaitl. I don't know. I mean, Draisaitl's pissy anyway, so I'm sure that's fine.
Well, they're all getting that way now,
But how does Connor McDavid not look at this team and go, "What are we doing? What is going on? You got Evander Kane for nothing. You didn't need Evander Kane, quite frankly. You needed goaltending, and you had options. And you didn't try any. You could have gotten Andrew Hammond if you wanted to. I mean,
True.
I don't know exactly. You could have gotten Devin Dubnyk, who played in Edmonton at one point if I remember correctly.
That's right.
I don't know what Ken Holland is doing. I don't know. There were some questionable decisions by some teams in this trade deadline that didn't do anything. So that's kind of the crazy part.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the Edmonton Oilers, right, they have 6 of their players occupy 35-40% of their cap.
Isn't it great? Isn't it great to see it's just other teams have so little cap space?
What are they going to do?
I don't know. Hey, I don't know. I don't know what that's
as long as they don't do what Vegas does, all right?
No, Vegas has like.
But they created their own problems, Vegas.
No, they're going to have like Jack Eichel, Mark Stone, Alec Martinez not play in the playoffs just because they can't afford to have them on the roster. I mean, that's where it's going to get to. And I don't like, how is this legally possible? That's the question I have. How is this legally possible? I don't know how it can be that way.
Do you think that maybe, and of course, they won't be able to do anything about it until the next collective bargaining agreement, but do you think maybe they just need to figure something out, something different, I guess, with this LTIR and being able to skirt around with, well, if we have this amount to be able to go over, we can, or the one that kills me are these teams that trade for these dead contracts that are on LTIR. Right. I don't know. To me, it's almost, why bother with a salary cap? If there's going to be all these different ways to, I mean, granted, it creates a lot of drama.
Make it like baseball then. Make it like baseball then. Just have a luxury tax and let's go. Yeah.
I mean, at some point, right? I mean, because there's just so many like gymnastics and shenanigans, and they're going to get around it. Well, where there's a will, there's a way. Ask the Lightning, they'll tell you. Actually, it was the Blackhawks that started all that.
The Blackhawks started it, then the Lightning. And look, everybody flipped out on the Lightning. But then again, once you saw what the ruling was, what did the Lightning do wrong?
They didn't do anything illegal. Wrong.
Everybody says, they cheated to a cup. No, they didn't. They literally just played the game. They played the game by its rules. Don't hate the player, hate the game, man. Like, that's the way you got to look at it. When you look at this whole situation, it's just out of control. It really is. And Vegas, the funny thing from Vegas' standpoint is that it's not even working in their favor. That's the funny part.
No.
It worked out in Tampa's favor because they went to win another cup. Mm-hmm. It's not working out for Vegas, who may not even make the playoffs. And it's kind of a question mark as to where we go from there with that. So it's just, I was saying to myself, this was going to be such a busy deadline because teams like Vegas were going to have to move people to get legally under the cap. And when nothing happened, I said, wait a minute. How are they allowed to go on the ice right now? Like, I don't understand, like, what's going on with it? But you have to remember this. Before the pandemic, the salary cap was going to go up dramatically.
Right.
I think there's something like $95, $96 million.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, the salary cap has been stagnated at $86 million for the last 3 years, and it's not going to improve for another 3 or 4 years. So this is the reality that we're all in, ladies and gentlemen. And they're going to have to find ways to figure it out. That's why I give Boston a lot of credit. Boston makes big moves every year, but what you don't notice is that they're able to get guys also on deals that are long, yes, but AAV-wise,
oh my God,
not too bad. Not
too incredible.
Bad. Look at this situation. I didn't think the Boston Bruins would have enough cap space next year to re-sign Patrice Bergeron. But now that Tuukka Rask has retired, unfortunately, the amount of money now that Boston gets, with every move that they made and everything that they have, they could still sign Patrice Bergeron to a long-term deal, which is a job well done by the Bruins, I might say.
Sure.
And that's impressive in itself.
Sure, of course. And, that's why when people bring up Connor McDavid, like, oh, you got to feel bad for Connor McDavid. Look what they're – I don't feel bad for him. His cap hit is $12.5 million. Okay, so, yeah, he's the most exciting player in the game. I get it. And he wants to get paid, and he is getting paid. Believe me. I get it.
He's getting paid.
But you got a Leon Draisaitl on that team who's taking up, what, $9 million? They had to give Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, I believe it was $6.5 million, $7 million. Something like that.
$7 million, yep.
I'm right there. Darnell Nurse got paid. So the whole thing kind of comes back to... They
paid a premium for Duncan Keith. They paid a premium for Duncan Keith.
Yeah, so to me, I can't feel sorry for him because if he was really that concerned about putting that winner together up there, maybe swallow your pride and say, well, I'll take 10.5 instead of 12.5.
I'll take 4.5.
Just to
being serious.
Yeah. If you're really that serious about wanting to put together that contender, knowing in this salary cap world that you got to divide the pie up a little bit more evenly.
Oh, yeah.
All right. That's all I got to say about Tim because that's, whatever. I don't, again, watching a lot of Western Conference, I don't feel sorry for the Edmonton Oilers, nor the Vegas Golden Knights.
I don't think a lot of people are. Honestly, I feel like Connor McDavid's a great player, but I mean, he dug his own grave because granted, it was probably more of his agent, and I get that. But, look, Edmonton doesn't want to have to trade another one of its once-in-a-generational talents. He could still get moved. I'm not saying it's not impossible, but it is what it is.
If he's got a no-move clause, they better make sure it's registered with all the teams involved, because we've seen how those kind of slipped through the cracks now, didn't we?
I don't know how you
I can't help it. I'm going to get so much mileage out of that.
I know. It was the thing was that like he got dealt, and then like an hour later, it's like, oh, newsflash, he has a no trade clause, and Vegas goes, oh, we didn't know that, and I'm like, so let me see if I understand this correctly. You traded for him, right? And he didn't, and it didn't cross your mind at all that he had that. And if getting Dadonov, I don't blame him for going like, I don't want to go here, because this man has been passed around like a joint.
Sure.
Like the last couple of years. He went from Florida to Ottawa to Vegas, and now he almost got dealt to Anaheim. I mean, it's just, he can't find a stable home. And I'm sure it's pissing him off. I'm sure it's pissing him off. And I mean, I'm sure the people in the organization are not too thrilled about having Dadonov still in the locker room right now. No, but you know what? Oh, well. Because I mean, yeah, right.
One of the reasons I saw it, because I mean, you're talking about tax rates, right? There's no state income tax in Nevada, whereas California is going to be paying out the nose. So, hey, whatever floats them, man. That's why they have those.
Whatever helps them sleep at night.
But it just kind of astounds me that the Vegas manager just couldn't go www.capfriendly.com. Oh, let's click on her. Oh, what's that NTC next to his name? Well, we got to look into this. Oh, well.
You know what? Vegas deserves everything that they get thrown at them.
Pretty much.
They deserve everything that's thrown at them. They don't know what it's like to suffer, and now they're starting to suffer. And so it's just, you know what? It's fine.
Exactly.
You had your moment in the sun, all that stuff. Congratulations. Now you become one of us. And Seattle, this is why people like Seattle, because Seattle was just like, no, we're just going to suck.
Yeah, we're just going to take it out the chin for a few years. No worries.
We're just, Ron Francis is like, what? Like he basically said to his families, all right, look, here's the deal. We're going to suck for a couple of years, but just stay with us. And you know what? Seattle fans are like, that's cool. We have a hockey team. Yeah, they might suck, but we have a hockey team.
Yeah. And the best part is they've got competition in that market, and they're being supported. Vegas hasn't had, at the time, no competition until the Raiders showed up.
And now look at the Raiders.
Yeah, no kidding.
They got Devontae Adams. They got Chandler Jones now. I mean, they still got DC, who I think is a very good quarterback. Josh McDaniels concerns the crap out of me. Really does. And I mean, look, we're in position to maybe get Stephon Gilmore and even Odell Beckham if he wants to come.
Yeah.
I mean, we got, we become the talk of the town. And Vegas, I said Vegas had to get themselves a fan base before the Raiders got there, because once the Raiders get there,
yipper,
Raider Nation comes out in full force.
Look out. Oh,
yeah.
So post-trade deadline, prediction time. Who comes out of the Eastern Conference?
So you want me to still go based off of what I said at the beginning of the year when you asked me this question? Which you have to give me credit for.
I'm going to tell you something right now. Don't feel bad.
No, here's the thing. You have to give me credit for Calgary, because I said Calgary at the beginning of the year. And Calgary is kicking butt, because I said to you they were going to do it. But look at it from the Eastern Conference. I hate saying this, but until proven otherwise, I'm still going to go with Tampa Bay. Until proven otherwise. I think it's because they haven't shown any signs of slowing down. Everybody's talking about Florida and other Eastern Conference, the Rangers and teams like that, but we just casually forget, oh yeah, Tampa, the two-time defending Stanley Cup champions. Yeah, they're still doing their thing. Yeah. And they got Brandon Hagel for a stupid amount of assets.
God, I can't believe how much they gave up.
The fact that a bottom six player was worth 2 first-round picks is absolutely hilarious to me. And the Blackhawks fans that I talked to were like, well, we didn't expect him to get dealt. And Jonathan Tate said it himself, well, if that guy's getting dealt and he was part of our young core, we're all going to get dealt at some point. I mean,
yeah, but look what they got back. Jeez.
I'm sure the Blackhawks were I'm sure that they called the Lightning and said, you're not serious, right? Like, are you being serious? Like, this is what you want? It's like, all right, cool. Sick.
Yeah.
It's like the GM. It's like the GM of the LA Rams who had the shirt that said "F them picks." That's literally just what like Tampa does. It says "F them."
We don't
picks.
need those things.
Right, exactly.
There's free agents everywhere. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. But I mean, I'm going to go with Tampa because I still think Tampa's the team to beat in the East. And as far as the West, Calgary is still there. Calgary can still make noise. Minnesota's there. I think a year without Vegas in the playoffs would just be fun in general because it would just be like, okay, I don't have a team to hate in the West. Let's whoever gets out of it, who gets out of it. I think it would be fun to see just a Canadian team in general get back again. So I think I'll stick with my pick with Calgary because I like what they've done. Getting Tyler Toffoli for what they got, they didn't give up a whole lot to get him. I'm just pointing that out. And also they got Kelly Yarncrook, which I thought was a really under the radar move. So I like what Calgary has done with the team that they have in place. And once they get their offense running, as I've seen before, they're a tough team to beat. They're a very tough team to beat.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, your preseason picks were much better than mine. I mean, I had Winnipeg and the Islanders. Nope. Oops. And I admit that.
Hey, I know. To be fair, not everybody admits when they're completely wrong.
Hey, sometimes, especially mine's recorded, so I have no choice. But I think you're right about Calgary out of the West. I mean, everybody's saying Colorado, but Daryl Sutter has done such a fantastic job with that team. And we've seen what happens when teams buy into Daryl Sutter, right? They win Stanley Cups.
Yep.
2012, 2014 with the LA Kings. And that Calgary team reminds me something of the Kings in those runs.
Yeah, I can see that.
Tough to play against, good. There's nothing that they do the best, but they just do everything well, which is what you need in the playoffs.
They don't have to be spectacular, and you don't need that in the playoffs either. And I like Markstrom in the playoffs. I think he's a very solid goaltender. Vladard, who has one of the best goalie names in the NHL. I mean, he's still a very reliable. He's a very reliable goaltender as well. I'm sure Boston would love to have him right now. It's really good. Daryl Sutter. Everybody was skeptical when he came in at the towards the end of last year, but now that he's had a year under his a year now with this team, you could see the results. And again, if Calgary doesn't get it done, this core is getting broken up. I said it at the beginning of the year. It's going to happen.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to afford.
If they get bounced in the first round, right? They get swept in the first round, Tampa Bay style, then,
sure.
That's it. There's no way. It may still be like the end, regardless of what happens. If they go on and win the cup, they may still gut the team. I don't really know what's going to happen long term, but I feel like you're seeing a desperate hockey team, a team that knows that they have this motivation to get it done. And I think that's what you're seeing right now.
I think that's fair. And I got to tell you, I'm gonna differ with you a little bit in the East. And I'm going to preface this by almost contradicting myself because me personally, I'm not a firm believer in huge trade deadline deals making that much of a difference because more oftentimes than not, they fall flat on their face. And I think part of that is because the NHL trade deadline is actually too close to the end of the season. So in other words, new players don't get enough time to acclimate to the new team, right?
Right.
But I think based off what they've shown all year long, I think this is going to be the Florida Panthers year. I have that feeling, right?
Right.
And
I like it.
Sergei Bobrovsky is Sergei Bobrovsky again. Last year was like, oh my God, where'd he go? What happened to him? Right. But this year, now he looks like that two-time Vezina Trophy winner again. They're loaded top to bottom. I don't really see a weakness in this Florida team.
Yeah.
And I got to, whoever comes out of that East, that's going to be an absolute war in the East.
I would favor the East to probably win the Cup this year over the West. I think it's just more top heavy on the East. You got Boston and Washington as wild card teams. That's how deep this Eastern Conference is. It's going to be a dogfight.
Oh, it is. Oh, there's no doubt about it. There's going to be war wounds all over the place after that one.
I'm just glad that we're going to go back to a regular playoffs this year. That's what I'm happy. It's like, okay, now we're back to here. I'm not looking forward to ESPN covering games because they're not going to do a good job. They haven't done a good job. TNT's phenomenal.
Yeah,
I love every single thing that TNT has done is great. I
totally agree.
Love what they've done.
Biz needs to be a part of every playoff game.
He needs to be chugging a Red Bull before every overtime.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, "Yep, this is great." No, but because like even the non-hockey fans will look at that and go, "Wow, that's really funny. That's really funny." I know people who are massive Barstool sports fans, don't know a thing about hockey, but they know Paul Bissonnette.
Oh yeah,
spitting chick licks. They know him, and that's good. That's good for the game.
It is.
Really is, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
That's it. I mean, that's exactly what hockey needs. Is just more characters like that. And that guy is just a character.
That's what's so
through and
important
through.
with Jack Hughes. That's what's so important with Jack Hughes and his personality. He's
Right.
going to be one of those kids moving forward that's going to be that next generation of athletes in the NHL who are going to express themselves and not be status quo and
Right.
things like that. So, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think there's a bright future on the horizon for the NHL as far as that goes. Especially, the kids coming up now, they're very, very TikTok savvy, very, social media savvy.
TikTok. I'm not TikTok savvy. And
I am not either. Believe me. Believe me, I have a hard enough time with Twitter. Okay.
It's fair.
I thought you were Snapchatting the show.
No.
I like how the last time I saw Dave on the screen, he had a different shirt or jacket on. Now he's got that on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How perceptive you are.
Yeah.
No, that's
it's random stuff that I noticed.
So
right.
What happened was, I didn't forget that the show was tonight. I just didn't. My studio gets really cold, and so I have to open this other door to the other part of the house, and and set this thing up and turn I've got when it's cold here, I've got a little heater in there that I set up usually the night before. Well, okay, so I didn't do that, and I was sitting here thinking I'm gonna freeze my butt off in here. So I had a wool shirt, this fleece, whatever the hell, and I don't know what fleece is either, but that's what my wife says it is.
Just take her advice.
I'm like, okay, it's fleece. I know I sound cool,
fleece,
but
exactly.
I don't know what that means.
I love it.
And then I had my Sabres hoodie,
Nice
look.
Well, hey, listen, you had to have a wardrobe change.
I did.
That was all.
I was dying over here. I was like, okay.
He's such a celebrity. He needed a wardrobe change. Incredible.
It is.
Nick's just going to ask for a makeup artist.
Yeah. Well, I waved her off. I texted her.
He comes back looking like Gene Simmons. Like, oh, what happened to him?
No, I said, I did text her. And I said, you got to turn the heat down. I'm dying here. Turn it down to 71. I can't take it anymore. It's so cold before.
Love
anyway.
it.
Only at Marty's Legal Stick.
Yeah.
Only.
Why do you think I love coming on here every chance I get?
It's great, isn't it?
I'm always exactly. It's wonderful. I have such a great time.
Just a couple of other small items just to wrap up with. Happy birthday to Bobby Orr. He turned 74 on Sunday.
Damn.
That's another name I might use sometimes.
There you go. Exactly. I just gave you another one for the trivia bank. You can't go wrong with one of those three: Wayne Gretzky, Gordie Howe, Bobby Orr.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So can't think of who else. I've got like 4 or 5.
Well, we'll give you a goalie. Use this Martin Brodeur. Okay, that'll be your goalie. If we ask goalie questions, go with him.
There you go.
We did, didn't we? One time.
I think so.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
I think I got that one right.
Well, again, listen, you are like a multiple choice question on Breakaway Trivia, okay? You just kind of throw the dart and okay, I got a 25% chance of being right. That's
25%.
25%. That's pretty generous.
Yeah, I was going to say, damn.
I'll take those odds.
I'll tell you though, Bobby Orr, could you imagine what would have been if his knees had held up?
Probably wouldn't have been the greatest player to ever play, honestly. I think overall skill level, I think he probably would have been.
Man, unreal. It's too
and
bad.
Instead of it being Tim Hortons coffee, we'd be calling it Bobby Orr coffee.
Yeah, right. Well, there's still a possibility of that. Maybe it's what we ought to do.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, you're right. I'm sure we could. Use his name. I'm sure he wouldn't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Just so you do all the work, and then he gets a royalty off of it, use of his name.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, complain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Send him a check every week.
Yeah, I was afraid you were going to say that.
Oh boy, that means you know who I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
yes, right. I do. So, Anyway, for our local listeners, Neil, I don't know if you heard about the Utica Pioneers men's hockey team up here.
I did.
They were ranked number 2 in the Division III NCAA. They lost their quarterfinal game this past Saturday, unfortunately, against University of New England Nor'easters by a score of 2-0. So the Division III Frozen Four now consists of Adrian College, Geneseo, Augsburg, and of course the University of New England. Heartbreaker for the guys to lose. Heartbreaker, absolute heartbreaker. I mean, I will say that the New England goaltender stood on his head. Billy Gerard was awesome, but there was some good news. Believe it or not, yesterday they announced that the Pioneers have 5 players that have been named All-Americans. They are, to the first team are Justin Allen, Regan Kavanaugh, and Dante Sabata. And then on the second team were Buster Larson and Jason Dobey. So, yeah, good news there. I mean, a salute to those guys for the fine season that they put together.
Absolutely.
And I tell you, they're still a young team, so you're gonna be some good times coming in Utica.
Absolutely.
And I have some more news to talk about next week, but we'll say that for next week. That's so. Anyways, Neil, tell us about watch-alongs, because tell the audience I've been watching with you. I mean, man, they are so much fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, so since about late September, early October, the Hockey Podcast Network created their own YouTube channel, and my good friend and the guy who's in charge of it all, Josh Deming, he came on board at that time and gave us the idea that we sit and we watch the game along with fans while we're live on the YouTube channel and interacting, as you've seen many times. And I've become somewhat pretty popular and pretty well demanded on these. I
wonder why.
I do wonder why sometimes. I just, I really enjoy it because we have a really good following. We have well over 1,000 subscribers that watch us all the time, and it's so much fun to do. And it doesn't matter what game I do. I have fun doing it, and I enjoy hanging out with people. It's a good thing to kill some time every day, and every time I get a chance to do it, and I have a lot of fun doing it. And we're trying to do at least one a day. Live watch-alongs every day on the Hockey Podcast Network. Go subscribe, THPN. And everything that we do is sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. So if you want to use our promo code THPN, you can, and you can tell the lovely people over there that Neil Villapiano from the Devil's State of Mind podcast sent them over to them. So nice. Yeah, I really love doing it. I love doing games. I've been trying to do at least one live watch along of every team in the NHL. I'm almost there. I got like 5 or 6 more teams to go, and I still have some time. So I feel pretty confident I'll get it done. And then we got the playoffs. The playoffs are going to be that much more fun.
We are doing the playoffs. Excellent.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be doing the playoffs. We did Olympic hockey, and we had 15, 16, almost 20,000 people view our streams. We have become the most popular YouTube channel in Slovakia. That's how big it got. Slovakia loves us.
There you go.
They love me in particular, so I consider myself part Slovak now because of the fact that they seem to really enjoy when I do the streams. But yeah, man, I have a lot of fun doing it. I saw you in the chat, a couple days ago.
When you're on, man.
And I really love doing it. It's a lot of fun, and we're allowed to bring on people, if we want to. So if the Utica boys want to come on, all of you guys, if you all want to come on with me while we do one,
absolutely,
we could definitely make that work.
Oh, that would be a blast. Because I got to tell you, what the best part about those is? I mean, and of course, for anybody who hasn't watched one, you can't actually show the game on the TV. But the best part is put the game on in the background, put it on mute or whatever it is you want to, so you can hear Neil. You don't have the announcers talking over it, right? And the best part about it is it's like being like at a internet bar watching a game because you got everybody chatting back and forth, and then when the chirping starts, it's the best.
Yeah, I know. You've probably seen my good buddy Jacob in the chat.
That was hilarious.
Oh yeah. I mean, we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. We got people on here that love to talk. They love to interact with us every single time, and we have a blast. We have a really, really fun time doing it, and I say the more the merrier. That's the way I look at it.
Oh, absolutely. We'll set that up sometime. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah, the boys over at the Hockey Pod Network would love it. They would absolutely love it.
Beautiful.
Those guys are great.
They are. That's awesome, man. That really is. And you're also doing a Brooklyn Nets podcast now, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a couple weeks ago, I started the Bridge to the Nets podcast on the Basketball Podcast Network, which is the Hockey Podcast Network's sister network. They cover every single team in the NBA for basketball. We actually been doing live watch-alongs on there as well, so I'm also on there. I'm actually going to be live tomorrow, just after 7 o'clock, to do the St. Peter's versus Purdue Sweet 16 matchup because being a Jersey guy, St. Peter's is in Jersey City. We got to show the support, and it's going to be so much fun. It's going to be more fun when they win because they're going to continue this trip to this route to the this magical run to the Final Four, which I would really love to see them do.
That'd be awesome.
But yeah, I have a podcast, new episodes every Friday, so I'll have a new episode coming out tomorrow. I recap games, talk about different things that are going on with the team, and obviously we're in the thick of things. We're in the last 10. We got about 9 games left to go in the regular season. Nets trying to solidify themselves in the playoffs and kind of go from there. And it's at Bridge to Nets, wherever you, wherever on social media. And like I said, new episodes every single Friday. So you'll see it when I post it all over my social, when I post new episodes. It's a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun doing it. I do plan on doing a Raiders podcast as well, so stay tuned for that.
Man,
so I'm keeping myself very, very busy.
Do you really? We talked about this before. Do you really have time to sleep? I'm starting to wonder here.
I ask myself that question all the time, and considering that I'm still getting about 8.5 to 9 hours a day, I guess I do find time to sleep.
God bless you.
So, yeah. That's what I do, man. It's what you do to do something that you love, and that's what I'm very happy about.
Man, oh man. Well, and of course, you still have the Devil State of Mind podcast too. That's
that's always going to be my number one. That's always going to be my number one. I mean, I would not be where I am right now with all these other opportunities, even talking to you guys, without the Devil State of Mind podcast. I'm very grateful for it.
And that's every Monday and Thursday, I think, right?
Yeah, every Monday and Thursday. It may change going into next season, but we got a lot of time before that happens. But right now it's still Monday, Thursday. So we had a new episode that came out earlier today. I talked about the Devils games against the Rangers and the Maple Leafs. I talked about the Christian Jaros situation and all that happy stuff. And it was good. It was good. So episodes every Monday and Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you can, guys, make sure to leave me a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify. Would greatly appreciate that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, the Hockey Podcast Network on YouTube. Devil State of Mind, is that on YouTube as well?
No, but I am thinking about it. But I don't want to give myself too much going on. There you go. You got there it is right there. The nice logo. Yeah, my boy Dylan Kaiser, one of the guys that runs the network. He designs all the logos.
Cool.
He came to me one day and said, "You need a fresh up for your podcast." So he shared it with me, and I said, "Dude, this looks great." So it's my podcast. I really love the scriptive writing of my name on the bottom. That's the part that I love the most.
Yeah, right.
We have the old logo in the bottom right, as you can see, the stick and the trident, I guess you'd say, the pitchfork, right? The pitchfork, and it's awesome. It's awesome,
yeah.
and I love it.
Devilish.
Yes,
that's the point. That is the point. That's a very astute observation there.
Oh man, that's great.
Are you trying to be funny or are you serious? No.
Depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Well, we're going to find you on social media, Neil.
Yeah, so you can follow me on my personal Twitter at THENVPSHOW and on Instagram at NVPQB11. You can follow the Devil State of Mind podcast on Twitter at Devil State, Instagram at Devil State of Mind. You can also like us on Facebook. And for Bridge to Nets, it's just Bridge to Nets on Twitter as well as Instagram. And also, again, follow the Hockey Podcast Network on all social media platforms at HockeyPodNet. Basketball Podcast Network is at HoopsPodNet. Also, everywhere on social media.
My friend, it is incredible that you remembered all that without looking at one single note. That is awesome.
It comes from many, many experiences. And if you watch enough of my live watch-alongs, I've become very predictable. The amount of commercial breaks that I take, I think people started taking shots now as to how many commercial breaks I take per live watch-along.
That'll be the next new trending thing. The Neil Villapiano drink-along game.
There you go. There you go. I'll market it for next season.
Yeah, there we go. Right along with our Bobby Orr coffee, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Neil, thanks for coming on again, man. This is just every time you're on, it's just a blast. It really is.
Yeah. Well, again, as always, man, thank you so much for having me on. Love interacting with you guys on social and also just, coming on podcasts like this. I have a lot of fun, and I'm definitely looking forward to coming on many more times in the future. Hopefully sooner than this last time.
Well, we'll definitely, as we get towards the Calder Cup playoffs up here, we'll have to. Not only that, you got to come up here. I mean,
I gotta. Hopefully, I can afford the tickets. That's the only thing I hope for.
Well, listen, if you're coming up here, we'll take care of the tickets for you. Don't worry about that.
Gotcha.
Covered on that
All
one.
I need is that Ball's Army shirt, and I'm good.
And I'm going to get that too. As a matter of fact, I'll message them right afterwards. Say, got a quick guy up here. Come on.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And obviously, I'll shout it out and all that stuff on the podcast and things like that. People will love it. People absolutely love it. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And like I said, well, I guess we'll go into closing credits here. Stick around for a second. I'll chat with you here as soon as I get the closing done here. So, but Neil, again, like I said, thank you so much. Again, it's always a pleasure, and we will do this again soon.
Absolutely, man. 100%.
All right. That was Neil Villapiano from the Double State of Mind podcast, from the Hockey Podcast Network, from the Bridge to the Nets podcast. Pretty much every podcast on the planet he's a part of.
I thought you were going to repeat everything he said.
No, I can remember.
I was like, I read 10% of what he said.
No. There isn't enough Prevagen in the world to make me remember everything he just said.
No.
Anyways, thank you for everybody for listening this week. We had so much fun with Neil here. You can follow Marty's Legal Stick on Facebook, on Twitter. We're also on Instagram as well. And also, of course, at martyslegalstick.com, you can check out all our daily articles that we put up out there. Again, thanks to Neil Villapiano for coming on. Thank you, Dave the Save Warner, for all your fine production work over here this week. I'm Scott Kimball. We appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you next week on Marty's Illegal Stick Hockey Podcast.